And welcome back to the Marriott Bonvoy check-in here with Top Father Broken Blade. Winning the first game of the season is great, but that's not what I want to talk to you. We saw what they call the most emotional renewal. Yeah, it was an amazing video. But tell me how you felt when you discovered everybody being here, but also being renewed by G2. Congratulations on that one.
Thank you. I was very, very emotional, obviously, as you could see in the video. I didn't go into that moment thinking it's going to be a celebration, because we already decided we're going to renew the contract a little while ago before MSI. And then I was very shocked seeing my family and my friends there, and it was very, very emotional. Also, thank you to all the players and my friends who sent me beautiful message. It was very, very heartwarming.
Yeah, it was an amazing moment, both for you and for your family. And we don't often see moments like this in esports. And for me, it speaks to show the engagement and the trust that G2, both the org and players, have in you. Can you tell me about your role within G2 and how you want this to develop, maybe?
I think my role as a player, it keeps evolving, because we have such an amazing staff who also helped me develop as a player and as a human being. I think I've matured a lot when it comes to like leadership and like how to talk to people. And I'm very, very grateful to get to play and be around those individuals. It
has been an amazing journey. From the first days in the league to where you are today, you get the key player of the game for this first one. Satisfied about your performance? What grade would you give yourself today?
I think mechanically it was good.
Yeah.
I still think we could have done a lot of things better. We're probably gonna go in, a little rod review and see what we could have done better. I feel like there was like one moment in the game where it was a bit shaky, but then we were just too strong. Camille, Sejuani, Tarek, doing some things. So.
First game back, it can take some time. Bibi, thank you so much for the interview. Congrats again on the renewal. And we're gonna head over to Shox for the last game of the day, KC Fnatic.
Hello everyone, Shox here, I think. Regardless, so welcome back. Today I'm going to go through the 3 new players on the KC the Split. KC only needs to make top 3 in the Summer Split to attend the season finals, but let's talk about the new players. So, first one up is Canna. Let's talk about him. First, he's the new top laner, right? He has a long history on legendary LCK orgs like T1. Canna is a world-class player. Remember last Worlds when Adam picked Volibear and he got absolutely cooked by a Rumble? Yeah, that was Canna, right? He also loves his Renekton carries, Camille, and Jace. Champions like this, he absolutely thrives. Next up, you have Closer. Previously on 100 Thieves, over in the LCS, Closer is absolutely a carry jungler. His champion pool consists mainly of carries and champions that pair off well with mid laners, like Viego and Lee Sin with Ahri. I spoke to Raz over in the LCS, and his TLDR of Closer was that he's an incredibly mechanically clutch jungler who plays well facilitative mid laners. Next up, and lastly, is Vardi. Coming from KC Blue over in the LFL and in the NLC prior, Vardi's best attribute to me is definitely his side laning. I remember casting his games in the NLC and recently in EMEA Masters, and by far and away his best champion was Azir, keeping games close through split pushing alone. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he stacks up against the stacked role that is mid lane in the LEC. So, in summary, you have an insane carry world-class top laner in Canna in topside, Closer coming in from the LCS, trying to get a trophy in the LEC, and Vardi, who's a new rookie over in the LEC as well. Now let's hear from Oscar to see what he thinks about the matchup against Canna in the top lane.
It's gonna be a pretty fun matchup, I think, because I'm really excited to play against him. I think he's gonna be probably one of the best top laners right now, and he's also a really carry-oriented top laner. I don't think he's gonna play tanks in general. So yeah, I just want to see what he's gonna pick and how he plays. I played against him in solo queue already, and I thought that he was pretty good. So let's see. I really want to play against him.
Excited to see how this matchup shakes out as well. Odoamne, we didn't really plan ahead or tell you where. No, you can we'll move the camera. That's Odo. We're going to try something different this time at the Caster Desk. For the first 6 or so levels of the game, we're going to be mostly focused on the top side of the map. We might leave a little bit to check out kills or objectives, whatever else is important. But because we have you here, Odo, and because we want to see Canna versus Oscarinin, we're going to be focused on the lane phase, and it's going to be your job to break down the nitty-gritty.
Yeah. Give me time off.
When do you push? When do you fight? Who's inting? You know what I mean? These are the things we need you to keep track of for us.
That's lovely. I'm excited because Canna is someone that everyone is looking forward to because
Yeah, it's new blood. It's good. Well, allegedly good new blood. So now it's his chance on KCorp. I mean, yeah.
No, I like allegedly.
A little bit of shade.
Yeah, I mean,
It's hard to know for sure.
yeah, but he's very, very hyped coming in, you know. So now with KCorp having a lot of changes and everything happening, I'm excited to see how he imposes himself. Hopefully now that with the turret changes, there's no lane stall, so we can see actual lane domination from him. And it's a matchup that I'm excited for as well, because Oscar is doing really, really good nowadays. So it should be, you know, a tough one to crack.
Do you expect this to be more of a carry versus carry after we saw Oscarinin bringing out the Camille at MSI? Or do you think we'll see Oscarinin kind of tend back more towards like the Cassante and those kind of things that we saw from him before?
I think that's more up to teams and the identity they decide to give their top laners, because I feel like once you start pumping bans into top, you're kind of forced into these sort of tanks matchup. But if everything's kind of like, you know, up for grabs, I feel like we could see something bloody happening.
Like to hear it. I mean, I'm excited to see how these two are going to face off, especially as you talk about like Canna now coming over. I feel like there's a huge amount of pressure on him to be a big carry for this squad. We talked about Closer, who end up playing a lot of around Someday, up for 100 Thieves. I feel like this is going to be a lot of action that Karmine Corp are going to be looking towards on that top half of the map.
Ultimately, have to see what the top lane focus is going to be for now. 2 bans.
Yeah, it's
on top side.
It's not looking good for the bloodiness that we are expecting here. I just really don't want like a Cassante Renekton or something, you know. But so far it's pointing towards a little snooze fest in the top lane.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I was kind of half hoping we get to see Skarner at least sometime today, just because I think he's a fun champion to watch. But we're not going to get him at all. It's just going to be the complete ban list coming through. And now, what is going to be the first pick? Tristana, I still thought we were going to see more of, but not going to be the case. Senna is also a peculiar one. I didn't think we'd actually get Senna priority as high as it has been.
What's your read on the current meta, Odo? You've gotten to watch a couple of pro games today. Obviously, you played a lot of solo queue. A lot of the champions that are hyped up in solo queue, I don't think are making the transition to the stage.
Surprisingly not. We saw Vitality have a little attempt, you know, well, they kind of deviated and went away by picking Orianna with Lilia, but AP junglers are the norm right now, and with Talia getting picked, it offers a lot of flexibility for KCorp. I'm curious to see if they're going to pick Tristana now, or get the top lane combo for the Talia, yeah. Like, you can even slam Tristana Renekton here and go for 4 or 5 as ADC support, and this way at least you get counter pick somewhere. But yeah, I would love to see this Talia go in the jungle and pick some AD pairing somewhere. I still don't understand the Senna priority being up so high. I don't think the champion is necessarily this strong, but I guess it does open for... Oh, okay. Well, now I like it. Now I like it. Now I like it. Because I feel like with these AP junglers, they require some sort of setup, and having the Ornn or the Nautilus, I guess, paired up with the Senna does make a lot of sense for that combo.
I will say, as long as this goes into the hands of Targamas, I'm a happy boy. If KC brought Canna all the way over here after a split of not playing to put him on Ornn duty, I will be very, very sad.
It does look good for the top lane though, because now that you have Ivern and also this bot lane with Senna Ornn, it does signal for both teams that they do want some sort of bruiser in the top lane. Like, Ivern is looking primarily for a body, for like a meat shield in front of him that he can like buff and play with, and I'm looking at this top lane as a potential Renekton 4 pick.
That's what I was going to ask you. Are you looking at a Renekton as, hey, that's probably the safest blind here to go for Canna, or is there something else that you would like to try and angle for now that you've kind of seen, hey, we already have a lot of engage elsewhere?
Well, I would have liked some bans for this top lane if we had Renekton 4, because I feel like if you pick Renekton on 4, you do run the risk of running into, let's say, maybe a Twisted Fate or a Cannon, because Canna is a very, very good Cannon player. I think Cannon and TF are one of his most played in solo queue nowadays, so it is definitely risky to pick top lane on 4 without any sort of bans.
Ooh. Well, 2 bans to the jungle on the side of Fnatic, trying to limit what Closer can bring in. Limit some of those early activity junglers. So Camille going to get banned out. Second ban from KC. Wouldn't be surprised to see another top lane option taken away. For Fnatic, of course, the luxury of counter pick. For Oscar, it's a matchup he's excited about. He will get to pick, you know, whatever he wants to counter what Canna can bring.
Also curious to see what Noah wants to bring into that AD carry role, because at the moment, like, you still have a lot of flexibility here. You haven't really had a huge amount of pressure onto that bottom side. The Zeri, I'd be surprised that Jinx can do relatively well now that you can go the Crackling Slayer route, but Noah's definitely felt more comfortable on these more late game carries where you can kind of play backline and let a lot of the early game happen towards people like Humanoid with Razork in the mid lane, even opening up for Jun to start to roam around that a little bit more.
Yeah, and definitely right now going into 5-pick for Oscar. He pretty much has a good team comp starter pack, let's say here. He has Ivern, Hwei, Nautilus, Zeri, great core for your team, and now the ball is in his court to, give us this spicy matchup that we're all looking forward to.
All I want is the spice. Rek'Sai.
He's some aggressive hovers from closeout. I'm all for it. Like, he's Lee Sin.
He's not playing the
really
least.
sick. But, I mean, not the least, but at least you're still getting a highly active early game champion that can look to have impact. And when you already look towards the Senna Ornn going bottom side, you're looking at pressure at mid lane. You can play towards pressure towards Canna. Brings out that Jax. Okay.
There we go. Yeah, this is extremely volatile. He's putting the gauntlet on the table. Is no matter what you pick, it's going to be extremely volatile. And this Poppy, well, it's going away from what we're all looking for. But this is a very, very good matchup for the Poppy. Jax is not happy here, and honestly, Poppy is a great pick here into Rek'Sai and into Jax. It's going to be a lot of pressure on the Ornn to find great engages here, but Fnatic team comp is having a lot of solid both like frontline tankiness and backline damage.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Karmine Corp to really break this. As you say, like pretty much every champion apart from the Talia, well, even the Talia ult has some sort of dash. Senna not so much, but it's going to be an awful lot you can stop. You got great opportunities to set up shields for the Zeri so she can continue forward, not having the Lulu. Across the board, Fnatic have a great composition here.
And I gotta know, Odo, we talk about the compositions overall. Who are you favoring? If you're playing on stage right now, whose composition would you rather be piloting? Which top laner would you rather be?
I'm favoring Fnatic team comp heavily because the thing is, if you're the Jax in this game, you have a very, very small window, pre-level 3, pre-level 4, where you need to leverage as much as you can to get an early lead with wave state and CS denial or XP denial. Because after that, you're kind of getting outskilled quite early in this game, So I don't know. Let's see how well he can coordinate with the Rek'Sai to make some magic happen in the top lane, because the odds are stacked against him.
Might be tough. Tough debut on stage. We'll see if KC can find that power on some of their side lanes. Some OPGG call out.
I wonder if he's bronze.
Ooh, I like this from Canna. You see that closeness?
Yeah.
It's about that guy.
He's locked in.
He's ready.
Yeah.
The closer you are, the better you play. Oscar not close enough to the monitor. Concerning sign for the start of the game. But here we go. Final game of day one here in the LEC Summer Split. The KC fans come in, still to be heard, still here in the studio, showing their support. And again, level 1, we're going to be looking everywhere. But the early game, it's going to be about top lane. Odo, first couple levels, who's favored? What are you trying to do? Is it just grasp procs? Break it down for us.
Yeah, so pretty much in the early levels, Jax pretty much has a cheat code with his E button. Poppy cooldowns are way too high in the early game to leverage that against the Jax. He's gonna get prio for the first 3 waves. He has the choice of crashing on either on wave 2, 3, or 4, depending on also on what Rek'Sai wants to do, and also Ivern jungle pathing. So right now he's assuming this very forward position because he wants to walk out when the wave comes and either catch the Poppy, walking up from behind her, or just dragging the wave to stack up the grass. So because it will give a lot more prio and pressure. Like, let's look. Yeah.
And in an ideal world, are you yelling at your jungler, hey, look, I want to crash 4th wave so then I can get a better back? Or what is exactly that you would love to see Rek'Sai do to enable this Jax?
Well, the thing about Jax is that he's quite independent. It's more up to the jungler to choose what the jungler wants to do. Like right now, I feel like the Jax made a little bit of a mistake because he actually didn't get prio level 1 because I think that he just didn't walk into the minion wave with his E. So right now it's already a little bit of an anomaly from the usual way this matchup goes, because right now Poppy, you're not supposed to get prio early game, so I'm already off script here. I think Oscar is doing a great job, getting trades early and everything, and right now making the matchup volatile like this is definitely not good for Jax. It's favoring Oscar quite heavily.
Jump in, but trading into the creep wave, going to start taking damage from casters, and Oscar.
And that's why Poppy is so oppressive, because it's a lot easier to tempo the laning phase with Poppy with your passive compared to the Jax, because you have it so often. There's 0 mana. You can use your Q whenever you want to thin out the wave, and right now it's not looking good for Jax, because right now he's dodging the windows where he's actually stronger than the Poppy in the matchup, and it's only going to get worse for him.
What are you doing now if you're in the shoes of Canna? I mean, right now you're just catching a wave, right? There's not a lot that can be done.
What you need to do that is very important here is you need to catch the next wave before it crashes into the tower. Because right now, let's see if he does it. Okay, so the problem here is that this wave crashed, and now Oscar is basing, and he's probably going to base and lose only 1 melee minion. So this is best case scenario for the Poppy, because right now, if he would have dragged the wave before and tanked it in front of the tower, the Poppy would have lost all 3 minions here.
For now, though, you talked about it. That 1 minion's still alive, Odo.
And he's probably going to get it. At least the XP, but even if he doesn't get this one, then it's essentially a free base. You barely lost any XP. Yeah, he didn't even lose the XP on that one, but...
Canna, brief window where he's level 4, wants to at least trade up a little bit. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, very positive trade is Vladdy taken super low there. You can see in the picture-in-picture, and Oscar now interrupting the dash in.
So what Oscar wants to do here is very, very important. He wants to trade as aggressively as possible to make this freeze in front of the tower, because the junglers are matched here. And now the problem is that Rek'Sai. Canna. This is a little bit aggressive, but I think it's a little bit of a overstick. But it's okay, because both junglers are playing to their win conditions over here. We're going to see a skirmish here, but this one is favoring Oscar because...
Flash in, the knock-up closer gets one. Now Canna looking for the follow-up. Razork has to start running. How long left on the Counter-Strike? Long cooldowns early on for the Jax. Razork should be able to get out for now, but that's the tunnel in, waiting for the knock-up. The stun now comes through as well. Canna grabbing a kill on the top side of the map.
Oh, it's a disaster! It had all gone so well for Oscarinin. Odo had highlighted that he'd already gotten this massive lead, but now 2 kills going across the Karmine Corp, and you get the reset here for Canna.
Yeah, this went horrible. Like Oscar just overreached a little bit to the wave. The wave was in such a good position. It pretty much gave KCorp the only win condition they have, and props to Closer, you know, because he knows that he needs to stay here until this wave is crashed. But now there's a Jax with an amazing base, Sheen, Ruby Crystal, double buffs, wave about to bounce back. This is just nightmare scenario for the Poppy.
And this is what I was hoping Closer would bring to the table. We looked at him on 100 Thieves, and he was playing around Sunday so often. This was kind of what their bread and butter on 100 Thieves were over in the LCS, but the last split wasn't the best at times for him. He couldn't really have the impact that he wanted to early game, but now in Karmine Corp, getting a massive win for Canna in this top side as he immediately leaves the game.
He was way too good. His job was done.
He set up the Jax. He's out now. Of course, we'll give you more context on the pause as we get further into the game, but guys, I gotta say, that started about as bad as I thought it could for Canna. And then, I don't know if we cursed him, or we cursed Oscar, or what, but it felt like right as we're talking about it, you know, the gank shows up, and now Jax is fine. At what point, like, as a Jax, right, we see a lot of games, I think, here in LEC, where we just see Jax split push for years. At what point is he, like, that big terror? Because it's easy to tell when it's Camille. She appears, she one-shots your carry, she's off the point of the map. When do Fnatic need to be scared of this Jax?
Well, essentially when he hits 2 items, but given the fact that he got ahead this game, he's probably going to have his Trinity Force score way before the Poppy will reach the point where she can kind of hold them forever. So... if nothing weird happens from the KCorp side now, because, you know, like, they did such a great play to get him ahead, now they need to keep him ahead, but to be honest, he doesn't really need a lot of maintenance from this point onward, just because he's going to be so strong. But yeah, he's about to get unleashed quite a lot earlier than we're used to.
Yep, was a brief client issue. We are now coming back into game here, approaching that level 6 break point. Is there any point now in, like, really trying to leverage resources to shut the Jax down? Like, if you're in this game and you're Oscar, what are you calling for? Are you like, support me top, let's shut the Jax down? Or you're like, just play bot, there's no point coming top?
Well, see, the thing is, your pairing is Ivern and Poppy, so there's not a lot of threat on the Jax.
Lots of damage. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, the thing is, ideally the best way to win the game right now is not to top. So the Poppy, the thing is, her kit is still so strong compared to Jax, where she can kind of hold him. She can't win anymore, but she can hold him. Jax won't really, you know, progress and, you know, get the solo tower or get the solo kill in that sense. She's gonna be okay. It's more of a question of, is Rek'Sai gonna keep looking at this Poppy on the bounce backs? Because right now it's looking okay for Oscar, but he's getting chunked slowly, and at one point this wave will push back, and that's the time where he really needs to coordinate that wave bounce to when Ivern is topside.
Yeah, especially when there's a lot of members up here for the Void Scuttlers as well. I keep saying Void Scuttlers, Rift Scuttlers, whatever the hell they are. My brain's gone. Thank you. It means that then KC are in a pretty decent spot now to play off of the fact that Canna has this push. The red buff and the blue buff making it very tough then for Oscarinin to really deal anything. But it does mean that Ornn is now on his own on the bot side, and they want to look for the dive.
Let's shift that focus down to the bottom lane. Noah trying to kick things off. Already exhausted. Targamas holding on. Knockup will hit onto Noah, but Noah, of course, Stopped attacking. Doesn't need to tank tower aggro here. Razork kicking things off again. Flawless dive in the bottom lane from Fnatic. They can't go top anymore, but bot certainly looking like green pastures.
A bit of pressure on towards the top side from KC. They can see they moved Oscarinin away, but absolutely brilliant from Fnatic to get that play on the bottom side and respond so well.
And Odo, we're about to say goodbye to you. We'll focus up again on the entire map, kind of the entire context of this one. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Any last thoughts? What is your prediction? Now that you're no longer a caster in this game, you could be whatever you want to be. Who's taking this one?
I still think Fnatic wins, even though Jax got, you know, a freebie. I think through the early game, I don't think it's going to be enough for Jax to take over this game. Hope he's still going to be super strong.
Well, we'll see if it comes true. Thank you so much, Odo. We'll see you on the desk later today. And that does it for our top-side focus on the map. Honestly, Oscar doing pretty well for himself. I think there were some nervous people out there in the world about how dominant Canna was going to be, expected to be a favorite. Targamas talked about it as being this big, massive, devastating force on the top side of the map. And while the Jaxes looked okay, it's actually the support of Closer, I think, that saved the laning phase from maybe not the most ideal start, Rob.
Maybe you can save a mid lane as well. Hovering here, trying to see if he can get onto Humanoid. Has the flash available. We'll need to try and get away from this.
Ma is there. Upset. Walking in, nice route to come through. Really, at this point of the game, we take stock of the rest of the map, right? We were very focused on the top side, 400, 500 gold lead, both in top and jungle. But meanwhile, on the bottom side, you know, Noah getting closer and closer to that first item, as well as starting Cole. He knows his role. His job is to scale up, is to be that 3-item threat. And I think for Fnatic, have to be feeling pretty cozy in the game thus far. Yes, eventually the Jax will be a problem, but for now, Razork doing pretty well, and Noah farming up nicely on the bottom side.
Yeah, I think the fact that Poppy's going to be able to kind of stand there and just go, hey, look, yes, you will be a problem eventually, but I can clear out waves. You're not really going to be able to get into team fights, which is where I feel like this game is really going to index into. Fnatic now want to push off the bot side, start to look towards dragons, and KC just haven't really garnered enough of a lead here to go like, oh, we can start to completely blast open this game. Maybe they can use Canna's pressure to look for more Void Grubs, try and get to 6, look for a Rift Herald and play through that. But at the moment, as long as Fnatic keep their bot side in check, they're in a good spot.
Fnatic have kept that bot lane shut down. Upset obviously roaming a lot, maybe trying to get more early souls. 40 already at this point of the game, I think ahead of the clock compared to what we saw previously. Targamas is going to build himself an item, but just really hard to approach all those Ivern brushes. I can't even see the Dragon health bar because the Daisy health bar is right there. Unstoppable is Targamas. Immediate all coming out from Noah. Nice ultimate from Upset for a bit of extra shielding. And here comes the Ram! Now the damage, the follow-up there. Noah in trouble with Closer. Starting to chase for the kill. One more Void Seeker. Upset grabbing another. KC finding the fight in the pit. The flick back onto Razork is good. Fnatic get the Drake, but they lose just about everybody in the exchange.
KC set that up so well. I was a little concerned when I saw Vladdy using his ultimate just to join the rest of his team on the bottom side of the map, but they had so much engaged, so much damage with Vladdy on this Talia that they were able to just continue through the fight so well. The extra little bit of damage from the Rek'Sai doing so much work in these fights.
I mean, they're just powerful. The confidence in the engage here, and it looks a little dicey at first, but Targamas unstoppable, managing to get out is big.
Yeah, and the fact you're getting the Senna ult across multiple members here is great. Brilliant engage from Closer on towards Jun, and Noah has to be the main source of damage here. Humanoid hasn't really hit his stride yet, he's still waiting for those items, so the fact that Noah isn't in really a position to do much in the way of damage in this fight is great. And then Vladdy, great follow-up as well across the course of this fight, making sure that he's able to keep everyone in check.
You can see smiles, you can see the high fives coming through, because you have to remember that not only is it 2 difficult splits for KC previously, but the importance now of Summer to turn around the entire year. When we look at their championship points, KC have got essentially nothing. They've got actually nothing. And remember that the only way to get through, if you're not on championship points, is to win or is to finish in the top 3 in Summer. And season finals, Worlds, is really the goal for this KC lineup, this KC organization that has had such a disastrous year so far.
And beating a Fnatic would be one very strong foot forward on that path to try and make it towards that top 3. Still a long way from it. They have a very good start, but we've seen Karmine Corp get these good starts, but that was with a different roster. And now with Closer already getting in onto Jun, they want to try and push this advantage.
Pushing in, want to step forward for more. The TP now coming in. Upset's been completely isolated from the fight, but it might not matter. Vladdy backing up, Disengage coming through. Targamas now going to be in trouble. Oscarinin in the midst of two. A clean knockup on a closer. And now it's Noah who's on the hunt. Knockup from closer. Not enough to stop the fight from coming in. Good flick back from Vladdy. Oscar getting lower and lower. Forced to flash away. But in the meantime, Fnatic happy to pick up a couple extra grubs. Even out the buffs at 3-3.
KC just a little bit off on the timer. Targamas' ultimate wasn't quite up and available. Just needed maybe 4 or 5 seconds before that ultimate became available. And closer went in. So Fnatic, having all of their ults available, just turned the fight immediately. And there's just not really the follow-up. You can see as we start to move in here, closer goes on to Jun, good damage, and you can start to look towards this fight. And this could be great positioning for an ultimate from Targamas, but doesn't quite have it. Then goes in for the headbutt, but doesn't actually hit anyone in Fnatic. And Fnatic then able to chase down these members with Oscarinin and having that teleport to come in and just help close out this fight.
And Oscar starting the lane well and playing that fight very well. Yes, almost gets taken down. Vladdy, good punish on the back half of the fight, but Fnatic, this is a team you can't, again, underestimate. Yes, I think the most recent memory for many international fans is a pretty tragic loss to Team Liquid, but remember, domestically, this Fnatic team has been a force to be reckoned with. And while both these teams are looking for redemption, you know, from their most recent performances, I think KC still have a lot more to prove, and Fnatic reminding us that domestically, at least, they are not to be taken lightly.
And they are the team that everyone's looking at to, you know, be the G2 killers, trying to take that spot and get in towards finals. And kind of reminding KC as to why they are so vicious, is they can play off these small timers and find those windows. But now closer, going in once more. Jun might be overextended.
Ulti coming in. Razork going to be in trouble. That's one very squishy Ivern. They don't quite have the ball damage to finish, but closer does. Jun now in trouble as well. Fnatic getting picked apart. They get one kill back on the upset, but that's all they're going to walk away with.
They overextend him in the river as Fnatic. They're trying to get the vision down, but closer's doing a great job of finding these moments to work with the team, find the picks that they want to, and Targamas now having that ult available, able to follow up brilliantly. So nicely done by KC. Closer definitely leading the charge on a lot of these plays.
And closer again, when you look at this guy, LCS Summer, this was a guy who was dominant domestically for so long in the LCS. He's coming off one of the worst splits of his career, took a break at the start of this year. Remember, did not play competitive in our winter or spring split, was obviously not involved in MSI. So for him to show up on stage and start putting up numbers in his first game has to feel good for him. It has to be so validating for KC fans who see this big investment from the org to bring him over.
And it feels like this is the lifeblood that they needed. They brought in Bo, thought that Bo could be the jungler that they played around, but never really amounted to much. Now in game number 1, we've seen him correct the top side, now getting a ton of picks in mid, leading those fights in and around objectives, and it's giving Karmine Corp this kind of voice that they needed, and it was something that closer gave on 100 Thieves as well. You saw tons of clips of him in team fights, target selection, micromanaging people, making sure that they're all on the same page, and that really felt like what was missing on Karmine Corp over the last few splits.
And it frees the carries up, right, to focus on doing the damage, on keeping themselves safe, so he can take that role. For now, it's looking good. Again, I don't want to oversell it. It's positive early signs for KC. Certainly early game was, you know, one of the better points of this team when we look back at 2 pretty tragic splits. So we'll need to see what it looks like as we get to the mid game, as we get later on. But so far, the coordination already much better than what we saw in winter and spring. That said, Fnatic are only going to get scarier. That's an Ivern. They've got a Poppy to tank in the fights. Hwei is going to get scarier, and we know what Noah can do on 3 items on the Zeri. Yes, the build is slightly different. Static Shiv a little bit different, but ultimately, the damage output as we get later in the game, very much the same.
Yeah, and I think that's where you're going to be looking to see if KC can try and play through these side lanes. Already getting that top tower down helps out nice. You can see Vladdy making sure to really push that wave in to get control of the map there. But you kind of need Canna to open up on this bottom side as well. Rift Tower is going to help in making sure they can put pressure on towards mid tower. But if you don't get these towers down, it feels like that fallback plan of the 5-man team fight for Fnatic is going to come fully online.
Definitely will. And Canna, of course, earlier on, got bailed out of, you know, kind of a questionable couple of levels, as we talked to Odo about. But then those kills coming through, the assist coming through on that fight around KC's blue buff, really keeping Oscar at least up in terms of pace, allowing him to match in terms of itemization for Canna. Yes, he's not going to outscale the Jax, but anything you can do to mitigate, to offer more in the fights, it's going to go a long way for Fnatic. Herald going to be used here. One on the back of the previous fight. Mid lane likely to fall. Big, big boon to the side of KC. Again, remember their long-range engage threat with this Ornn is huge. So denying or gaining any passive vision by breaking down the mid lane tier 1 tower is big for the team.
It's also because it forces Noah and Jun to play very defensive on this mid wave. Traditionally, you'd see the AD carry step up, especially if they have static shiv, and try and very quickly clear out these waves. But because of the threat Targamas has with this ult, the follow-up from closer, the burst damage, you have to play very far back or bring multiple members like Fnatic have at the moment. So it opens up opportunities for KC to start to push in mid and play four sides, which is exactly what they want. But Fnatic doing a good job here of responding and getting a tower for themselves as well.
Yeah, good move overall. Again, once Fnatic have set up for that siege with the Hwei, with the Ivern, it feels pretty easy for them to just start pointing and clicking. Unless KC are willing to burn all of their engaged tools to force them off or to try to fight. And Humanoid, again, you know, we talked about Noah. We know the threat that he can provide. We talked a lot about the topside matchup. But Humanoid, the guy who very often in the previous season, you know, if you gave him a champion where he could split, was solo leading the game for Fnatic. Yes, their split season ended very well, but there are some moments where the games looked a little bit loose, and it was often Humanoid who was kind of rallying the team on a side lane, keeping push, keeping advantage individually, and now on the Hwei, got the Blackfire Torch, right? Like set up really to do so much work in these fights.
A lot of KC members on the bottom side though. Fnatic predicting this though, responding with a full stack almost on this bottom half of the map, and as long as you don't overextend, Humanoid is going to be fine to just continue to clear out this wave. And here comes KC's play though.
Humanoid isolated, has to flash away from the flick back, but does manage to get away. It's Shadow, but now the hook onto Vladdy. Vladdy in trouble, forced to flash back the Ram to try to disengage. Targamas needs to get the hell out. Jun ready to re-engage at a moment's notice. Hook ready to go, but it seems like they've gotten enough range. Canna off to the side. Nobody wants to follow up on that one. Canna still with the TP, might have to return to the top side of the map as Oscar keeps the pressure up.
But that's kind of KC's play. They spent their turn trying to make this play happen on the bottom side, and they don't get anything out of it. In fact, they're the ones that have to turn tail and run. Oscarinin got to push in on top side, and now you get Fnatic coming back out of the map in a really good spot as we start to look towards pushing mid for Dragon in a minute and a half, keeping pressure up and making sure they can continue to stack these objectives.
An interesting choice from Canna coming in. Has gone for the Seekers. Will allow him to play incredibly psycho in the fights, right? You can find that flank, you can wait for all those cooldowns to be used, and when you see the Hwei damage coming in, which is super telegraphed, the Zeri, all whatever piece of, you know, CC or utility that Fnatic want to use to try to get Jax out of the picture, you can just immediately Seekers and mitigate all of that disengage.
Yeah, I do think though, if you go golden and you don't win the fight, it doesn't matter, you're dead.
Yeah.
You don't get a second chance here. This is, as you say, a go-in button to keep you alive in the hopes that the team will follow up. But realistically, you've already got that engage from Targamas, so I'm curious to see how Canna ends up feeling out these fights.
It's not a, you know, and look, like Jax scales with just about everything in the game, so the AP won't feel bad, don't get me wrong. But Stopwatch would have been much nicer. Spending 1,600 gold on this active is a big cost, and so if it doesn't work, if you jump in, you go gold, and then you die anyway.
Is he running Jack of all trades?
Ooh.
I actually don't know. I don't have access to it, so maybe a producer could tell me, but maybe that's why he wants to get the AP for that.
We can check in with our observers, get the information. Obviously gets a ton of stats from Trinity Force. Remember, Jack of all trades, the more different kind of stats you have, the more value it's going to give you. 5 and 10 being the breakpoints. Trinity Force already giving you an immense number by itself. Seeker's going to give you AP, as well as armor, which aren't given, so probably approaching that 10 point. Now KC grouping here. 5 members strong, might be gearing up for the full front to back, but it's Oscar who's on the flank. Both sides happy to just poke at each other. Canna now locking up Oscar. Oscar flick back. He's tanky, but is he tanky enough? But they're all into the choke. Humanoid is doing so much work. No, immediately going to go for the ultimate. The knockup now coming through for the disengage on Targamas. They grouped for the Hwei. The follow from Fnatic. Brutal is closer. Cut down. Humanoid check sniper there, cleaning it up.
That was so good from Fnatic. Karmine Corp try to get in position to have Close come over on a flank. They can set up a Targamas, and then you get that 1-2 combo, but just not the play. Fnatic sniff it out, and now they want to go towards Bar.
And we wanted to know if it was going to feel good. Canna not running Jack of all trades. Thanks, production and observers, for updating us, and not going to get much more use out of that Seeker's armor guard, so going to feel a little bit difficult. Baron getting lower and lower. Again, Fnatic shredding through this objective pretty damn quickly. The question is, KC, what can they do to stop this? Jun not afraid to frontline, has Celestial opposition, could eat damage for so long. 4K, it's getting lower. Closer on the way, but he's not going to be there in time to stop the smite. They'll be able to grab at least 1 kill. Jun Taken out, Baron taken down. KC, do they want to keep following? 2 souls to upset, the only consolation prize alongside the kill gold onto Jund, but Fnatic, Red Bull Baron power play. Let's see what they can do with it. I
saw the unsealed spellbook on Targamas and thought maybe we might get a smite swap coming in for the Ornn, but not going to be the case. The KC, unable to get the steal, they get a kill, but still Fnatic coming out with that Baron buff. May even be in position now to try and contest for this dragon, although KC do it very quickly.
KC should just be able to take this one down, at least slow the dragon stacking. On the side of Fnatic, Ocean Soul again, very impactful. Oscar by himself, but doesn't have to be too scared here. Again, the immediate follow-up damage, not too big, especially without Vladdy in the picture. Death Cap and the Seraphs for Vladdy. He's going to start to hurt, but Humanoid already 2.5 items in, already working on Magic Pen. And again, if they keep maneuvering into these chokes, like the problem is both sides kind of want the opposing team to be grouped. But right now, Humanoid is the one who does the damage, and Noah pretty close behind him.
Yeah, the problem is KC want to try and play sides, but now they're on the back foot, so Fnatic just abusing the fact of how strong they are in this 5-man stack, just going to burn through this bottom lane tower, and using Ivern's ultimate of Daisy to just push back Karmine Corp and make sure they're able to get it.
Oscar continuing to step forward. Brush is set up for the siege, and again, anyone who walks up is going to take a bunch of damage from Humanoid. Oscar with a knockback as well onto Vladdy, the main source of wave clear. That should be included in the Poppy sound kit, I think.
Definitely.
The Wii there. All right, so Inhibitor will fall, traded for tier 2 as Canna at least tries to keep up a bit of pressure mid, knowing that there's not really an angle for them to fight at this point in the game. Upset is at 105 souls, but he's only level 10.
There's not really a TP opportunity for Canna either. I was trying to see where the wards were, because you had Poppy reset, which meant that maybe you could try and TP Canna in behind and you look for the engage off of Oscarinin showing a wave, but not going to be the case. It was just bot lane turret now gone with that Rebel Baron power play, and they're going to start to set up in mid, continue up towards this top side. You can start to shift back and forth. Karmine Corp, again, this is kind of what we got to see a lot from them in winter and spring, was good early game into fumbling the battle and then just having Fnatic coming roaring from behind to take the game fully by the horns.
Canna getting closer to 2 items. We'll have another Zhonya's active in the fight. If they can find a good angle with Vladdy there as well, they can do a lot of work. But again, Upset on the Senna. Going to need a few more stacks, a few more items before he really starts to feel like a threat that can work through that front line, especially when there's an Ivern in the mix. And the tough thing for KC as well is even if you get a fight that starts positive, if you can't kill Noah, if you can't finish off that Zeri, Noah will be more than happy to clean up in favor of Fnatic. Another tower falling down. Vladdy using the wall to get involved as Canna stands off to the side. It just feels like Fnatic are taking whatever they want. KC don't quite feel confident enough to pull the trigger. Don't think that this is their time to force a fight, but they're losing 2 inhibitors effectively for nothing this second one.
I mean, how do you engage? Oscarinen's in a great position to deny Targamas entry. Closer's being marked by Jund. They're just playing bouncer for the entirety of KC, denying them access into the vulnerable backline. So they're just able to walk up and do whatever the hell they want. It's just really good play from Fnatic, understanding the strengths of their composition. Canna, though,
desperate to force, Dawning Shadow to try to interrupt. Jund and Razork both going to get knocked up, but that's the start of the fight. Canna, flick back is good onto Humanoid. Good start. Canna needs to get involved in the fight. The Jack's still coming in, but they just immediately kill Closer. KC, the call was made, but the pieces were scattered. Not everyone was in position. Fnatic happy to have the gimme, the free kill, the free TP.
Yeah, the younger brother hit, and then the big brother came in, and Fnatic very quickly reminded KC as to what their position in this league is, because that was just not fair. KC tried desperately to see if they could interrupt it back, maybe catch Fnatic when they're split, but great ultimate from Oscarinin, and the immediate turnaround means that KC just don't get to do anything.
And it's just so hard now. Right, like you can look at the Senna versus Zeri gold comparison, and it's going to be misleading because Senna isn't farming, but 2.5 items, almost 3 for Noah. A true terror. Again, Static Shiv, very different item, but that second crit item going to feel good for Noah. Hit him over to 50%, and Zeri is still Zeri, turns out. 3 items, still a pretty important spike, and was just going to be a nightmare to deal with, especially when Noah hasn't even really been that involved in a lot of these fights.
It's not even Noah I'm worried about. It's the double burn on Humanoid. Blackfire Torch and Leandri's Anguish, and he's going to be able to hit multiple people consistently with the way Fnatic's team fight is set up. It becomes nigh impossible for KC to really do anything to him, and he's just going to hit from so far away as well. Like, Karmine Corp are going to try and stand underneath this tower, but the poke from everyone is insane.
KC do what they can to hold the line. Again, difficult when the flick back doesn't connect. Spiraling Despair used just to get a bit of poke onto Targamas, losing almost his entire health bar. KC fans few of them in the house, really just wanting to wish the best for this new lineup. And despite the early game success, despite some positive early indicators, Fnatic are now choking them out of this game. Wall, good start. Ornn ultimate. Oscar gets the disengage. Ornn denied from the fall, but Jun getting lower and lower. And Oscar, again, we talked about Oscar versus Canna. Oscar has been everywhere, 2, 1, and 3s involved in these plays. He's disengaging left and right. And Canna's still scaling. We're still waiting for that involvement. And yeah, you know what? It's his first game on stage. You don't want to expect too much. It's a new team. It's a new project. But the relative impact in this game, Oscar has just been miles ahead.
Exactly. There's very little that Canna can do from this position. And I mean, we heard Odo talk about what he was still here. This Poppy pick was great. May not have been what we wanted from a pure fistfight perspective, but in a game of chess where you can position Oscarinin to deny Canna entry, end up sending a lot of members back from KC as Targamas goes to the engage, it was a perfect pick. And Fnatic really setting themselves up fantastically, coming through from draft, and now they get to bear the fruit of that labor. As KC going to try and contest Baron, but I don't feel like they're in a great position to do so.
Ornn ultimate not too long of a kill cooldown at this point in the game. A lot of cooldown reduction. Upset going to get slowed up a bit by this.
Wait, you
flash in for Targa.
That did half of Upset's health.
Yeah, that
was painful.
That's concerning. Targamas, of course, dying would have been worse, but this is definitely not ideal. Luckily, Upset has a lot of healing. Push there. Targamas, though, caught in a bit of a tough spot. Hook going to go a little bit wide from Jun. Objective already started. Noah moving back and forth. Not sure if they want to keep the fight. Oscar getting lower and lower. Targamas has to be careful not to get caught out. Uses the unstoppable and closer, waiting over the wall. Clearly ready to try to force the steal. Ornn ultimate going to get used. Knock up on a 3 is good, but again, there's no immediate fall. Vladdy laying down as much damage as he can, but the front line is just too damn strong. Razork will not let any of his tanks fall. Canna dropped. Oscar on a killing spree. Vladdy doing what he can, but it does not matter. Razork, the shields coming in left and right. Noah starting to take over the fight, and Upset absolutely useless in the exchange. Closer retreating. Upset retreating. Fnatic again finding the angles. The TPs come out on the bottom side. It looks like they're ready to end it here.
Fnatic are done. Karmine Corp are done. And Fnatic, with a confidence team fight, will pick themselves up a win in summer.
No matter what optimism KC, the team, the organization, the fans might have, Fnatic are here to remind them that they're still a step ahead as they get first blood here in the LEC Summer Split.
And what a performance from Oscarinin on the Poppy. Every single fight, the ultimates were hitting key targets. He had a great laning phase against Canna until things went a little astray. But we don't worry about that. At the end of the day, he was magnificent across the course of this game.
He was, and overall, Fnatic more disciplined. Junglers as well, closers in so many of those early fights did a lot of work, but Razork, we got later and later, just made sure that nobody else on his team could die. It was so hard for KC to finish a kill, even when they landed 3-man Ornn ultimates. The follow-up damage just wasn't there.
Yeah, Humanoid's damage was absurd as well, and you can see it both for your key player of the game at LEC on X, Oscarinin, Humanoid, or Noah. I mean, honestly, it was just... I understand now why Hwei needed to get nerfed.
Yep.
Because the more I saw him, I was like, oh yeah, Black Fire Torch is a really good item on him. Then I was like, oh, Leandri's Anguish works really well with that as well. And suddenly he's getting a ton of AP. He's hitting you from off the screen. And if you try and run at him, he's just got so many tools. Like, he half-held Upset off of one ultimate.
Yeah. That's scary. I'm not going to lie. Hwei looking a little bit scary here. Humanoid as scary as ever, certainly. And Fnatic, of course, you know, again, feels good. You're back on home soil. You want to come in, you want to show up with a win, remind the Fnatic faithful, show these fans their faith is well placed. And it is. You see it, you're coming through. Again, KC, we can talk later about how they're doing, how it compares to what we've seen in the previous splits. It's only one game, it's only one day, it's not the end of the world, but positive indicators for Fnatic.
And they get to do it again tomorrow against Giants X, so I think definitely an opportunity for them to try to get their footing again after MSI. I mean, as we talked about, a bit of a disappointing loss to TL at MSI, but honestly, they look great there. And I think if you can get Oscarinin keeping his performance from MSI coming into this regular split, they're going to be a team that are dominating in so many of these matchups.
I mean, feels good when you can weather the storm of an early game, when you can adapt on the fly, when you can come back better in team fights. For me, Fnatic, a lot of things to be happy about coming out of that day one. Of course, we'll see what week one looks like as a whole. 3-0, I think the goal for so many of these teams, but a hard task to achieve. Fnatic one step on the way. We're moments away from getting an interview on stage. And it sounds like we're ready now. So let's send it on down to Laure and Razork Chroma.
Razork, Chroma, indeed, for the Marriott Bonvoy check-in here on stage. I wonder, there's a lot of dragons here today. I think it's the first time we have so many Fnatic dragons here in the LEC. Do you want to say hi to your fans?
Well, I couldn't understand anything you said.
You guys are really loud, but for the best way. Do you want to say hi to your fans?
Yeah, hello, my brothers. They are crazy, actually.
I know. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. How was the game today? Because KC revamps lineup, 3 new players, Canna in the top lane. I know that Oscar was really looking forward to playing against him. How did you prep for this game?
Well, I think if I have to resume the game, I feel like we fucked up, Oscar and me on top, the 2v2. But I think we outdrafted them really hard. I feel like their comp can't really do anything when we get 2 items. I feel like they have no way to engage into us. And yeah, Ivern just puts all my teammates full HP. So even though I was like just pressing E, I feel like I had fun.
Something I've been saying a lot during the interviews today is the fact that you guys have to get used to playing on stage after such a long break. How did you utilize your break after MSI? We're going to talk about this in a few moments. But what did you do? Did you have some time off? Did you go back to the office fast? How was the plan? What was the plan for you guys?
Well, I think everyone did what's best for themselves. Personally, I took a break from League. I played other games.
Okay.
Yeah, like Elden Ring and other types. So.
Perfect.
Oh yeah, I shouldn't say that probably. But I think, for example, Noah, I think he probably took a big break and then he ran out of social media, and I feel like right now his mentality is starting to change.
Yeah.
He usually gets very nervous on stage games, and he's working on it, so I'm really proud of him.
Yeah, and I really think it's important because as happy as you guys were qualifying for MSI, getting back to this stage, I don't think it was the end you guys wanted after play-ins, especially stopping so fast. What were the learnings from this that you're going to carry through Summer Split? You were mentioning Noah and his nerves. Is there anything else for the team that you identified as being an absolute thing to focus fast?
I mean, we already knew what our problems were. I feel like us as a team, we are still very inconsistent.
Yeah.
As you could see in MSI, we did decent against Gen G. We put a fight against top esports, but then one day we are just off and we are like silver players playing together. And it's something that we really want to fix because it's a mistake that has been happening for so long. And yeah, I mean, we are on it. I feel like our practice so far has been really good. And I just hope we don't go mental boom like we used to happen, these splits, and we can keep doing what we are doing.
Yeah, and that's what this is about, right? Just coming back instead of crumbling under pressure, especially with Summer Split. You were mentioning silver players. I dig the silver hair here that you chose, new hairstyle for summer. What was the idea behind this? New split, new me?
No idea. I mean, I was just doing it with one friend. Okay. He went silver also, and I was a bit tired of my hair. I just wanted to change a little bit. Change are good.
All right.
So I don't care if it looks good or bad. The worst case, I just go bald like Jankos, and then it just goes same like all the time, you know?
You had to do him like this, Razork. Thank you so much. Do you have a message for Oscar? He's waiting for post-game lobby.
Sorry?
Your top laner.
Oh, good job, bro, Oscar. Good puppy, bro. I'm so proud of you.
Good job. We're proud of you. Razork, thank you so much. Shocks, over to you.
Thank you so much. Welcome to PGL.